Greetings and salutations in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Welcome to Region Resplendence, a program of the American Baptist Churches of Greater Indianapolis. I'm 𝗥𝗲𝗴𝗶, Executive Minister of the region, your host for today. The American Baptist Churches of Greater Indianapolis is one of the 33 regions of the American Baptist Churches, USA and Puerto Rico, and our region is comprised of approximately 15,000 members in the 40 congregations in the city and suburbs of Indianapolis, Indiana. Of those 40 congregations, 16 are of European ancestry, 8 are Burmese immigrants and former refugees, 7 are descendants of enslaved Africans, 4 are comprised of Central and South American immigrants, and 4 more congregations are blended or becoming blended, multi-ethnic, and 1 is a congregation of refugees from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Burundi, and Rwanda. And I, of Caribbean origins, have the honor and joy to serve this region. We call this program Region Resplendence because we are a tapestry of God's diverse peoples, teeming with God's beauty, resplendent in God's color and brilliance, and set forth in the middle of America to shine in the glory of God. And there are many stories in our region. Each person bears a story, and each one of those stories reflects the light and glory of God. This is our second episode, and it is my delight today to welcome Dr. Vivienne Friday, whom many of you have not yet had the pleasure of meeting. Vivienne is the Dean of the School of Nursing and Health Professions at Goodwin University in East Hartford, Connecticut. She's the other half of me, and we have been married for 41 and a half years. I always say that she's allowed me to remain married to her for that time. Vivienne, welcome. Tell us a little bit about what's involved in being a dean of an academic dean in a university.
Well, let me speak for my university. First of all, being the Dean of Nursing and Health Professions means being the supporter of all the programs in the university that come under that umbrella. So nursing, we have 4 nursing programs. We have LPN as an associate degree in nursing. We have a bachelor's degree which has 2 tracks, and we have a master's degree program which has 3 tracks. So those are the nursing programs. And then health professions, we have respiratory therapy, we have public health, graduate and undergraduate programs. We have dental hygiene, we have funeral services, we have occupational therapy assistant, and we have medical assistant, medical billing and coding.
Wow. So I have to tell you a secret. I met the provost of the university back in November. He's the vice president of the university. And he said to me, Michael, I have had many deans of this same department, and I've watched them, and Vivienne is the first one who has been able to pull all of the many moving parts together and do it so well and do it with grace. Is that true? Tell us a little bit about it. I mean, is it a stressful job? Is it a difficult job? How do you do it?
Well, I think part of it is bringing everybody together. And so a big part of my role is to support the directors of all these programs.
There's a working relationship between
right.
you
So
and the others.
When I started by doing one-on-one meetings. I started by having listening sessions. So I was able to learn the programs, learn what their concerns were, learn what the goals were for each program, learn what was happening in every program. For example, is a program getting ready for accreditation? Is a program working on specific ideas or programs or supports? And so just knowing what is happening in each program was very helpful to start.
So you recently completed a master's degree in organizational leadership. Now, this reminds me that one of the definitions of of organizational leadership is walking around, management by walking around, and what you've described sounds very pastoral. Staying in touch with your colleagues, your supportive leaders, in order to know what's going on. Did you learn any skills beyond the organizational leadership track? Did you learn any pastoral skills, being having lived your whole life in church? How has that informed your job, your task as a dean?
Well, I think a big part of that is building relationship, which is what church is all about. And so that's why I started by not assuming that I knew what was happening. I started by meeting persons where they were and learning their journey and learning their lived experiences, so that I will continue to build those relationships, because this is a journey. I'm not there yet. I am still building relationships, and on a scale of 1 to 10, some relationships may be at a 5, some may be at a 2. So it's a journey, and yes, as a Christian, trying to understand who people are is very important to me.
Yes, there's the shifting and the applying different approaches to different people depending on where they are. You did not do a bachelor's degree until you were in your mid to late 40s, and then you went straight on to a master's degree, and then you went on to a doctoral degree, and then you came back to a master's degree. How did it happen that you began, by so many standards, so late?
Well, it depends. That's when I came here. And so shortly after, in Jamaica, I actually started my bachelor's degree. My focus at that time was to be a social worker or a guidance counselor. But that was really a big thing in Jamaica at that time. But when I came to America, I realized that it would have served me better to continue in the field of nursing. And so that's when I came, and doors were opened, and I just jumped in.
When you were a teen, you said you wanted to, there were two professions that were foremost in your mind, either teaching or nursing. And somehow you've ended up in both at the same time. You came from very humble beginnings. Tell us a little bit about your childhood. Tell us about your journey through your teenage years, your high school experiences, all the way up to becoming a nurse.
Well, I believe that every individual is born with an aptitude to be who they should be. And I guess I have the aptitude of being someone in the caring profession. So each time I do an aptitude test, I would be someone who should be a nurse, a teacher, a social worker. So I think I was born to be a nurse or a teacher. And I had experiences when I was in high school. For example, I was a member of the Jamaican Red Cross. We went to the hospital every Wednesday. I was able to wear the uniform, and I think those experiences helped to confirm to me that this is what I want to do, this is what I like. But in terms of why I just started and did not stop, I think part of it is I had the drive, I had the inward motivation to achieve what I wanted to achieve, and for me that was the biggest drive. But I also had opportunities to pursue my career. When I came here and I went to the University of Hartford, I ended up walking out of the chair of the nursing program's office with a half scholarship. I also worked in an institution that had a program that was called Grow Your Own. they were paying for people to go back to school. And so I just took those opportunities. That same institution, that same nursing home would pay half of my fees to do my master's program. I jumped on that as well. And when I moved from Connecticut and went to Nebraska, I ended up in a school that was just starting a doctoral program. And I was right there, so why not?
No, so you were doing all of this while you were a mother, a parent, a mother and a parent, while you were a parent, a spouse, and a full-time employee in several. How do you women manage these kinds of things?
Well, I would say I had good support. You were a good support. You remember you typed some of my papers?
Yes.
And the kids were grown, they could take care of themselves. So I did not have small children. They were in middle school and high school. They could fend for themselves, so they did that. But I think you were a very good support, and that helped.
That's a good segue to ask about our life together. What do you think is responsible for holding us together for 41 and a half years?
Well, first of all, I think we loved each other.
Especially since I am harder to live with than she is.
I think we had a good foundation. We came from the old model of you love someone, you are in it for life. We belong to a community that supported our relationship, that confirmed our relationship. And we got support. I think being in church where we still have that body of support is also very important. We had friends who supported us. When we were in Trinidad, remember we had this group of friends and we met, we played games, but it also helped us to build a bond and also helped us to problem solve and to have persons who we could get help from.
I never thought about this before because if the same question was asked of me, I never had a prepared answer, but as you're talking, I'm thinking that one of the things that have contributed to this bond is that we give each other space, lots of space, lots of space to continue being who we are, and to develop, separate from each other, but also together with each other. That's something that many couples don't seem to be able to navigate very well.
Well, I think it's how we see each other. That yes, the two shall become one, but we also are individuals in a sense. And I think part of that is respect.
Yeah.
That there's the respect that I have certain goals that I need to achieve, and you have certain goals as well, and we support each other. But I think it's also part of our culture that women also are persons who need to be successful. So we are from that culture as well, where women are allowed to be successful and to have their own space.
This sounds like somebody who met Jesus. I mean, this is very theological. Jesus, especially in the Gospel of Luke, Jesus lifts up females like never before. We're talking with 𝗥𝗲𝗴𝗶𝗏, the other half of me, the Dean of Nursing and Health Professions in Goodwin University in East Hartford, Connecticut. And we'll be back with you in just a moment. We're taking a break and we'll be back with you in a moment. And we're back. We're talking with 𝗥𝗲𝗴𝗶𝗏, the Dean of Nursing, the School of Nursing and Health Professions at Goodwin University in East Hartford, Connecticut, and the spouse and proud wife of the Executive Minister. Vivian, in the first segment, we were talking about your beginnings, your humble beginnings, and I know that you've come from origins of poverty. How has poverty shaped your life?
You know, it's interesting that you asked that question because I received an award a couple of weeks ago, and that was for excellence as a nurse educator. But as I look back on my life, I realized that growing up with very little was also a blessing. As I thought about that, I realized how my journey shaped who I am now. We did not have running water. We had to walk miles to go to school, to go to church, because we did not have public transport. We had to get up very early in the morning to get water first before we even set out to school. But I realized that that gave me a certain level of grit and focus, and helped me to have those attributes for success. We didn't have a choice. We had to do the hard work. And so the values that I have gained from my journey as, and maybe poor is not the right word, because you know,
we didn't know we were poor.
Right now, we are trying to go back to that kind of life where we walk more. We walked a lot. Now we are trying to walk. I have to get up, go out to walk. We didn't have a lot to eat. And right now we are trying to eat less. We didn't eat a lot of meat either. We ate more vegetables. We grew our own. And so I think that life really prepared me to be a successful person, because the values, the work ethics that came out of that journey, I had to get up. I had to go. I had to be successful. Plus, our parents really instilled those values of hard work, ambition, success. There were no excuses. You don't get to school late because you have to walk to school. You get to school on time, period. So how do you plan your life so that you meet the goals that you are required to meet and not complain?
There's something in organizational leadership theory that authenticity is formed from some crucial experience of life, some seminal experience in life. And it sounds as though your experiences as a youth have shaped your authenticity. You talked about grit, you talked about discipline, and it is all of those that have shaped. And you know, this is one of the things we talk about all the time, about how so many people in church life seem to prefer the easy side of things rather than the difficulties, even though Jesus said, take up your cross daily and follow me, if you will follow me. So you've lived your whole married life with a clergy person. You've moved too many times to tell the audience, but we'll keep it a secret that it has been about 21 times. And most of those times have been due to my engagement as a clergy person. Talk a little bit about the challenges and the joys about being married to a clergy person.
I don't know if I see it as being married to a clergy person. I'm married to you, and that's it. I mean, I go wherever you go. If you were a military person, I would do the same. I go wherever you go. I think some of the joys, I can say that, especially when we're in Jamaica, we were treated well. You know, there was a level of respect that went along with being a clergy person. There was a level of appreciation. But as a clergy person, I went where you went. I found my niche at churches. I love to sing, and so as the wife of a clergy, I never thought that I should be preaching or anything like that. I just use my gifts because I'm a Christian, and I believe that God gives us gifts, and my gift is music, and I get involved. I also had the opportunity to work with young people when in some churches, and so yes, we moved a lot, but we also have been able to develop relationships along the way as we move. So I think that's a blessing. That's a rich experience as well. And
yeah, we should tell them that it's not that I have served in 20 different places. Some of those moves were due to serving in the same pastoral situation, and some of those moves were due to your engagement as well when you served a certain place and they provided housing and all of that. So, but we've had a rich experience moving here and there. They say a rolling stone gathers no more. So you talked about music. Tell us a little bit more about your love of music and how it has enriched your life.
Well, I am blessed with a singing voice.
Not me.
I never had the opportunity to be formally trained to sing. That's something that I would have loved, but could not afford it. But because again, I grew up in church, there was always church choir. So I remember looking back, there was a time when I was probably on 3 choirs because I was on the adult choir, I was on the youth choir, and probably practicing for a festival. I became involved in music from I was in school. I sang on the choir. We went to all these festivals and competitions. I was always in the front. Sometimes I was asked to sing solo pieces. And I always look for a community choir as well as an adult. Wherever I go, if there's a choir in the community, I would be a part of that choir as well. And so, yes, I love to sing, and I look for opportunities to sing, and that has also enriched my life too.
Yeah. So, finally, I work in Indianapolis, you work in East Hartford. We didn't plan it that way, but because of our particular gifts and because of the opportunities and so on, we live in 2 different cities. As a matter of fact, not long from now, she will board a flight back to Connecticut. How have you managed this unique arrangement in order to allow both of us to continue serving God in the different places where we are? How was that? What does that do to your life?
Well, we plan. We look for all the opportunities to be together. So it's me traveling.
Did you see how she looked sweetly at me when she said that?
Are you traveling? And I believe that God has planted us where we are for different reasons, and we make it work. We use every opportunity we have to be together. We travel a lot, and we have the technology nowadays where we stay in touch, and so we can use a video camera to connect. We have our telephones, and it's not really that hard to get from Connecticut to Indy.
And I should also tell you that the president of the Goodwin University is over the moon about his dean of nursing and health professions. See, and that was serious, but still seriously, Vivian is highly valued at Goodwin University. And the truth is, I'm not interviewing myself, but the truth is that just as I feel called to serve you here at the American Baptist Churches of Greater Indianapolis. Not only does Vivian feel called to do what she's doing, but the whole Goodwin University community continually affirms that she is where God wants her to be. So Vivian, thank you for introducing yourself to the ABCGI, and please stay tuned for another episode of Region Resplendence, when we will be back with you with a valued person of the American Baptist Churches of Greater Indianapolis. Thank you, sweetie. Bless you all.